Welcome to Road to Fire. Let's talk about finding your F.I.R.E. number. Let me give you a quick background on what an F.I.R.E. number really is. So a group of very smart people got together in a simple meeting and spent years analyzing the stock market in what is now called the Trinity Study. I will share the link below in the description box. In sum, the analysis said you can live off your investments or retire using the simple 4% rule. They looked at the rate of return of the market against expected inflation over the past 30 years and concluded, broadly speaking, you can conservatively withdraw 4% from your investments without depleting them. Essentially, you can use this logic to withdraw from your investments for life without forcing a leaky bucket. Here's a simple way to find your financial independence number. The most important and first step is you need to spend time tracking your expenses. You really need to be meticulously tracking your income and your expenses to help understand your average monthly run rate. It's extremely important that you make sure you understand where each dollar goes and comes every single month. I cannot stress how important this is. So take your time, make adjustments, and balance things as needed. Note, this step can take months, even upwards to a year. Don't rush it. Ideally, spend at least a few months tracking to get a good average. In general, most of your expenses will fall into 3 categories. Number 1, your total food costs. Are you obsessed with takeout and dining out? How much do you spend on restaurants a month? Quick story. When we first started tracking our expenses, we found out we spent an average of $500 a month dining out, just for the 2 of us. Know how to manage your grocery bill consistently. Where do you shop and when can help you save. Small tip, always come prepared with a grocery list. Eliminate or decrease spending on non-essential food items, or add a budget line to keep these expenses manageable. Adjust or plan out for eating out or takeout days. We usually order out on Fridays. It's become our treat day each week. Number 2, your housing costs. Are you living above your means? Are you staying at the new rooftop pool apartments? This was us. We were spending over 30% of our living at an apartment with features we never used. In general, your rent or mortgage should account for about 30% of your expenses. There are exceptions based on what city you live, but keep this as a rule of thumb. Understand what space you actually need versus what you think you need. Living rooms and kitchens, they get the most traffic. Dens or libraries, not so much. Limit spending excess dollars decorating and designing. In the past 10 years, we moved 8 times, and each time that came with new decor. It was a waste, really. Find a location that agrees with your budget. Do you really need to live in the core of the city, or can you commute from the suburbs? Number 3, your transportation costs. How much does it cost to get around in your city? Are you finding the most efficient options? Can you walk or bike to get around? How good is your commute to your job? What type of car are you driving? Did you go for the stylish versus practical car? We shared our debt story below, where we bought one practical car and one not so practical car. There are many cost advantages of public transportation, some even provided by your employers. Make sure you're taking advantage of them. Okay, just find a means of transportation that works for you and your budget. Once you have your monthly expense rate, you can really just rest easily because the next part is simple math. So take your total monthly expenses and multiply it by 12. This will give you your annual expense run rate needed to sustain your lifestyle. This number will vary drastically based on your own preferences. Hooray! You now know the amount of money you need to cover your annual expenses. Celebrate, as most people don't get this far, most people don't have budgets, and most don't forecast out for a year. You're ahead of the game. Next, choose your annual withdrawal rate. The classic rate is 4%, but some of us are more conservative and approach around the 3% mark. Choose a logical rate you're comfortable with. Like I said, for us, we erred more on the conservative side. You now divide your annual expenses number by your selected withdrawal rate. Told you it's just math. There isn't a right or wrong answer. It's based on your risk tolerance and your current and projected lifestyle choices. Then you will find your F.I.R.E number. Done. Round of applause, you now have a game plan to retire. This number may seem daunting and not expected, but you now have a clear target specifically for you versus some arbitrary number for all 65-year-olds. But you need to determine your investment strategy. Find a balanced strategy within your desired time frame. Find out what method works or what doesn't work for you. Are you heavily invested on real estate using the F.I.R.E method? Can you house hack in the future? Does your plans depend on an aggressive saving rate? Can you save 60 to 70% of your income each month? Or are you heavily weighted in index funds or stocks, the more traditional route? But first, some things to note. Managing your expenses and savings will determine when you retire. The more you can perfect these two areas, the faster you can retire. How you choose to live now is important. How you live now and how you live in the future will determine your goal in hitting F.I.R.E. How do you spend? Do you really need to stay at the 5-star hotel? Does your vacation need to be global? Reevaluate all your spending on non-essentials. Can you live in a smaller or lower cost location? Can you make temporary adjustments now to hit your F.I.R.E goal faster? Okay, let's quickly recap. Get comfy, grab a quick seat. Steps to finding your F.I.R.E number. First, track your expenses. Second, analyze your expenses. Third, divide by your interest rate. And fourth, determine your investment strategy. Just that simple. Personally, we are working on downsizing and living on less while aggressively pursuing F.I.R.E. We plan to be relocating to a cheaper city to help cut our biggest expenses right now, housing. And of course, we will be continuously finding ways to cut expenses. We usually focus on our top 3 expenses, and I detailed that in our July budget, which I'll link below, that represent about 30% of our total budget. And lastly, we will be inevitably increasing our saving rates. Our goal is to be around 55% monthly. To us, it's just that simple. Anyone can do it. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below.